Hello again, everybody. This is Phase 2 of the reboot in the legendary campaign of the Confederate side of Ultimate General Civil War. And this is this really tricky one, the ambush convoy, where you have to kind of do everything just right. But in keeping with my new strategy, I am not just trying to grab the supplies and then sit tight and let the timer tick out on this one. I want to try and engage and destroy some of the enemy to keep his numbers down going into Shiloh. So I've already grabbed the first two supplies. I am right on the cusp of going after the third, but I've also sent out a bunch of troops to try and engage the enemy. I've already routed Robinson. He's going to be getting reinforcements, so I need to rush the supplies back, but then get into a position where I can try and fight him. Excuse me. Now, there was a heavy-duty amount of scaling in this one. His army started out around 14,000 men for this battle, but as I build up my force to the most that I could go with, it quickly swelled up to 25,000. So I'm outnumbered about 25,000 to 15,000. But I believe if I play my cards right, I can inflict some casualties on the enemy, still win the battle, and hopefully set myself up a little bit better going into Shiloh. But we shall see. I'll go ahead and grab these last supplies, and then I'm going to drop back into position, and I'll just show you some of the highlights of this fight. Alright, so with an hour to go, I'm finally getting myself into position where I can fight. I did route some of his units up here. You can see some of the dead blue that are there. Hopefully this will work. I'm hoping that he will engage me and at least give me the opportunity to inflict a few casualties along the way. But it looks like for the most part he might not. He's got these huge brigades under Burnside, Robinson, Franklin. It does look like Burnside's going to come up and get himself into the woods here, so I'm hoping maybe what I can do then is I can bring some of these mounted infantry units up here, depending on, well, maybe not, because Burnside's going to shift even further up. I was hoping he'd turn right there. I could get up here and get on his flank. But instead, I should get a shot or two on his flank right here. So we'll see what happens. We'll inflict some casualties. Hopefully that will bring down the number even further before we get into Stay Alert and then Shiloh. Alright, so for the most part he indulged me. No major attacks, but he kept shifting units up here, which allowed me to inflict some casualties without suffering a whole lot of them. So once again, it's going to be kind of interesting to see where things stand as we go into the next battle. So I inflicted 2,300 casualties, lost 675. That's way more casualties than I normally inflict in this battle. And after ambush convoy the last time around, and you know, I'm thinking long and hard about army organization here, but I'm going to hold off on that, just kind of think about this a little bit. Last time around, after ambush convoy, he was at 67 to 72. This time around, he's at 46 to 51. So we've got a difference of 21,000 men still. Training's almost identical. It's only 1 point difference. Armory remains kind of the big difference at about 7% more this time than last time. But all of that said, let's look and see what Stay Alert looks like this time compared to last time. But I'm going to go rebuild my army, and then we'll kind of compare going in, and then we'll take a few highlights from that battle as well. Alright, so going into this next battle, which is defending the supply depot, I think it's called Stay Alert. Numbers are basically going to be the same this time as they were last time, about 18,000 for him, closer to 15,000 for me. The big difference, of course, is going to be that I'm going to play this to try and inflict more casualties. And I've got that artillery that I'm going to bring up nice and close. I'm actually going to swap out one of these infantry brigades for having more artillery to start, and then we'll get the rest of our infantry as well as the mounted infantry as reinforcements. So we'll get ready, and I'll show you a couple of highlights here, and then hopefully what we will see is a much smaller Confederate army going into Shiloh. So we'll see. Well, this battle has gotten away from me just a little bit. He loaded up much heavier on this corner than I'm used to him doing in this battle. So much so that he drove off my infantry that was there and caused me to take some casualties with the artillery. However, the artillery is still doing a decent job, and these are relatively cheap artillery units. 12-pounders and 6-pounders, they're fairly easy to replace, so the losses among those is not a huge deal. I just need to kind of get myself plugged back in over there, and I'm just trying to inflict as many casualties as I can on him. Pretty much the exact opposite of what I did the first time playing through. And what my hope is that his numbers stay low enough at Shiloh that they actually give me a chance to win that battle, since I get a lot of help from units that aren't all my own. So we'll play through this, we'll try to inflict a bunch of casualties, and then we'll see how the numbers play out at the end. Okay, so I turned that battle into an absolute bloodbath compared to what it was before. Last time I lost 1,000 men. This time I lost... Well, last time I lost about 1,400. This time I lost 3,000, so I doubled mine. However, I more than doubled his. Last time he lost 3,000. This time he lost 1,000 cavalry and 6,200 men. So, all in all, I feel like I accomplished what I wanted to there, which was to inflict as many casualties on him as possible. The real question is, where does this leave his army? Now, according to my last playthrough, he was sitting at 80 to 85,000 men at this point. This time, 52 to 57,000. So a difference of 28,000 men going into Shiloh. I would think that bodes well for me as far as the number of men he's actually going to have at Shiloh this time around. Of course, there's probably a difference in how many men I have at Shiloh as well. But I would think that the discrepancy is probably going to be less. So I'm going to go ahead and get my army rebuilt. How does he still have 65,000 men? Alright, so one of the things I will never understand about this game, okay, if he only has an estimated 52 to 57,000, how is it that he has 65 at Shiloh, and that doesn't count what he's going to get the next day? So, alright, I don't know. I've done all that I can think of to do to try and keep his numbers low, and yet still he's got this army force pool sitting here that is more than what he should have at Shiloh. So I don't know, but we'll build our army and see. So even with the positive numbers for me as far as the number of men in his army, he still brings 65,000 men into Shiloh. So seems like no matter what I do, Shiloh's just going to be an uphill battle. I'm going to give it an attempt, though. I'm going to push it, and if I think I can break through at Pittsburgh Landing, I will. Problem is, I think if I do that, I'm probably going to lose a ton of men in the process. Just one more time to go back and reiterate, the difference between a victory and a draw is those 9 reputation points and only about 2,000 men and $30,000. As I'm looking at that, a victory that costs me 8 or 10,000 more casualties than taking a draw is just not worth it. So I'll be a little bit more aggressive, but unless I absolutely think I can just do all kinds of damage to him, I'm not going to go for it. And I'm going to try to use the soldiers that don't belong to me as much as humanly possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and rename all these units, just so I can more easily identify them on the battlefield as being mine. And I'm just going to name this, since this is in the West for this particular battle, I'm going to name them all as the Army of Tennessee, even though the whole thing really is the Army of Tennessee. Just so I can see them easier on the battlefield, or maybe I'll just put an HG after each one of them. And then we'll see what happens. So my plan here, again, is not necessarily to win. It's just to inflict the most casualties I can. This is all my force here on the left side of what will become the open battlefield. I decided, instead of trying to go up around the left and hitting him in the open field over there, that I wanted to go here and keep my army tight, because that way I can link up the full force together when the time comes. When the other side of the battlefield opens up, I'll be able to link the two forces. Now, I will try to push forward here and take Shiloh Church. I may not do it right now, but I just want to try and get myself in the best position possible. So far, I really can't complain. He just charged at me with 300 cavalrymen, and in one volley from each of these 3 units here, I completely disintegrated that unit. It doesn't even exist on the battlefield anymore. Obviously, McGowan here being in the open space, he's going to suffer the most casualties, and he's fighting about even odds right now. And he's going to send in another cavalry unit that gets completely shattered right off the bat. I don't know what he's thinking, but I absolutely love it. But everywhere else, inflicting heavy casualties compared to what I'm losing. And I'm going to try to advance and put a little bulge right here in the line if I can. But you can see here, 46 to 0, 38 to 1, 63 to 29, about even right there. 388, 72, 133 and 35, 195 and 42. 168 and 23, and then of course my artillery unit, 61 to 0 there, 114 to 2, 76. So all along the line. I can't see because I don't have enough points in recon overall, but all along the line, inflicting significant casualties on the enemy. So what I need to do now is try to push these guys back so I can get into the flanks here before McGowan gets chewed up. And now, on the scene for the first time here at 7:30 in the morning on April 6th comes everyone's favorite Confederate General, Braxton Bragg. And we'll go ahead and the same thing here. I'm just going to move up cautiously, try to inflict some casualties, and link up with what will be my left flank as the next phase of this battle unfolds. And I'll get some reinforcements from here as well. And we'll kind of see how this unfolds. Things are going pretty nicely on the left side, and we'll return to that here shortly. Well, this is going exactly as I had hoped it would. I was able to get up and drive off his battery. Now I was able to get on Miller's flank, which means now I can move up, take the objective, and I'm desperately trying to get these other forces into position. And he's starting to get on my flank over here, so I'm going to have to cover that. But again, as long as I can keep the numbers favorable to me, like right here where I'll have 2-on-1, those are the situations that I want to continue to look for. But I got to get these guns to come up. And once we capture the objective, that'll trigger the next phase once the timer ticks down on that, I think. And just like that, we've switched back over to the other side where we haven't yet taken Shiloh Church, but I have a feeling that's going to be coming here shortly because I'm in a real strong position on this side, and I'm pushing back all the way along the line. I'm going to go ahead and move my guns up on the right side. I can move Stewart up here and then get Haas right into McDowell's flank on that side. McDowell's going to be getting fire from 3, maybe even 4 brigades. He won't last more than a volley, I don't think. I think as soon as Haas gets a volley on McDowell, that'll be about it for him. Yeah, he's not even going to make it that long. He's breaking before the volley can even be fired. Perfect. There, that was the route. And now we can go ahead and move up with these guys. Keeping my second line real close behind wherever I can. I'm going to keep those guns there for now. They're still in range, and I don't want to lose their fire for now. Again, looking at the numbers here, 152 to 2, 222 to 58, 103 to 11, 430 to 100. Those are about even. McGowan's about the only one. Siegfried, 500 to 100. Preston, 953 already and only 215 deaths. 778 and 169. 202 and 41. So that's what I'm aiming for, and I don't want to give him the opportunity to even those odds by making a ridiculous assault on Pittsburgh Landing that only results in an extra 9 reputation points and 2,000 men and $30,000. It's just not worth it. Shiloh is one of those battles I can afford to lose, and it really costs me very little. Or I can afford to have a draw. And it costs me very little to do that. So I'm going to sit tight right here for now and only advance when I feel like I have vastly superior firepower. Well, I'm just about out of time right here, but he's making it easy on me by letting me get on both sides of him. The only thing I'm worried about is when the battlefield opens up here in a second, did I just expose my rear to his troops that are over here? I guess we're going to find out, and if so, I can spin Penrose around to cover Hatch's rear until I can kind of solidify my battle line and bring it back around. But for now, I was just about to get into his flank, and we're going to see right now what this looks like on the other side. We're still just on this side, and there's really no way of kind of knowing for sure. I think here's the creek up here, so I think we're probably below where they are, but I guess we'll find out. So same deal here. I want to try and turn his flank, and once I'm able to do that, then I can bring these units up and start rolling these guys up. So just want to keep using the numbers to my advantage wherever I can. He may still have some units that are back here somewhere, I'm not sure. That's fine. Go ahead and turn like that, because then we'll just get into your flank from over here. So I'm just going to come more out this way. There we go. Perfect. So then I'll just start rolling it up, do the same thing, kind of hold the line here. Though I got to be careful because artillery is causing a bit of an issue. These are Napoleons trying to fire on him. That's not the most effective way of counter battery fire, that's for sure, but I don't know that I have anything else. So we'll roll this up. We got about 3 hours of fighting to do here. So he just pulled all his units back. I think he's pulling back to the Hornet's Nest. So I'm going to quickly advance, try to nab these batteries before they can pull them back. Right here, maybe not, just because he's supported by infantry right behind. But at the very least, I ought to be able to get these guys. And I'll be able to drive those ones off. Looks like they're going to retreat before I get a chance. That's okay. So the casualties aren't nearly as one-sided over here as they are on the left. I'm actually okay with that just because these are not my troops. Plus the ground's a little more favorable to him over here. But I think that'll start changing here shortly. So we'll bring up all the guns. Hopefully he'll stay close so I'll be able to start using some of these smoothbores to get into him and cause some real casualties. But I am not going anywhere near the Hornet's Nest. Oop, let's back off a little bit. Alright, so this is the last phase of day one, and it looks like things worked out just about perfectly here as far as the two halves of my army. I've got the two separate flanks kind of right back to one another. So he's going to start pulling everybody back now from the Hornet's Nest and start pulling back toward Pittsburgh Landing. Now, I can try to push for Pittsburgh Landing. I just don't know if that's going to be an option, nor do I believe it's worth it. But we'll push things and see how they go. But I have to hold that when the timer ticks down. And if it's still contested, I have to wait for that contested timer to tick down as well. So it's going to be a tough go. We'll just kind of see how things unfold. Another major problem I'm dealing with is that all the units on the right, which are the units that I was given for this battle that are not part of my army, are out of ammo. So I'm rushing what little supply I have left over to that side to try and help out a little bit. In the meantime, I've overrun and destroyed most of the artillery that was at the Hornet's Nest. The last one remaining is right here, and I'm about to finish him off as well. Now we're going to try to do what we can to these two units here, but with me being low on ammo, that doesn't help things very much. Full retreat happening over here on the left side as well. And I'm hopefully going to overrun these 2 batteries. Try to destroy them. 3 batteries, actually. So if nothing else, I'm taking out a bunch of his artillery. But again, this being kind of a rout at this point, I'll probably get up to Pittsburgh Landing just in time for Buell's first reinforcements to arrive. And that's about 10,000 men, I think. Which, all other things being as they are, I might consider that I'd have a shot at this. But those reinforcements are what worry me about trying to overrun the position. And that's where the real casualties happen. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a go, I think. And we're gonna lead the attack with the forces that are not mine. Those are the ones I can more easily afford to lose. Of course, my main concern continues to be the fact that they don't have ammo. My artillery's fallen way behind here, but there's nothing I can do about that, really. They just can't keep up. Okay, I'm starting to get a good view of what he's got, and a lot of it's sitting out in front of the fortifications. But I need to push through before he gets his reinforcements, because I don't want those Buell reinforcements to be able to occupy those fortifications. So I'm going to push hard, and I'm going to push fast, and I'm going to hope for the best. And I'll bring up my history guy units here to support on my left as best I can. Ideally, what I would do would be to flank him on the left and come around, but I don't have the time left to do that without it automatically going to the next day, because I just would not hold the objective in that amount of time. So this is just going to be what could best be described as shock and awe. I'm just going to push through with overwhelming force. I know that I'm going to suffer a lot of casualties, and a number of these units are going to break. But as long as I can dislodge him from the fortifications, then I'll be in good shape. I've got this one unit that's going to cause me to have to send some units into the marsh over there to deal with him. But these units being out of artillery or out of ammunition, honestly, the best thing I can do with them is charge, and I want to try and deal with this artillery that he's got sitting out too. So I'll be able to push through. He's going to get those reinforcements that are going to come down, but hopefully by that point I've broken through and I've given myself the ability to take and hold the Pittsburgh Landing objective. Alright, we dissolved that unit, so that's no longer a concern. I can start bringing these guys over this way. Alright, so some definite problems on my right side. Everybody's breaking, which means I'm going to get flanked over here. And here come his reinforcements. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, it looks like those are reinforcements coming in. Hopefully once I get my artillery up here and set, that'll help drive them off. Alright, so the good news is I've got a real opportunity here. The bad news is twofold. Number one, supply is a real issue for me because everybody's low on ammunition. And number two, he's getting all these reinforcements and he's shifting them all over here where he knows he can make a push at the last second to take and hold that objective. So this is going to come down to the wire. And my best case scenario is if I take it now, so that when the timer ticks down, the situation will be resolved. Because if the contested timer is still going, even when the mission time is up, then I'll have to wait for that. And the longer this goes, the longer my odds go of being able to keep and hold it. So I'm going to start shifting whoever I can over to that side, just like he is. And I've got to take this objective now, because I think it's about a 20-minute timer. But I may just be able to pull this off. Alright, 24 minutes to go. I've secured Pittsburgh Landing. He's immediately rushed a unit in there to stop me. He's going to start pouring everything he's got into there, which means I have to as well. The casualties are going to be massive on both sides. It's really just going to come down to whether or not I can hold this thing for the next 21 minutes. with no ammo and not nearly enough men. Oh, drop back, Anderson. You're right there. There we go. Let's get General Breckinridge in there to kind of hold the line. General and former Vice President of the United States, John C. Breckinridge. All right. No, 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 no. Don't break. Don't break, guys. I keep waiting to see him make a last-ditch effort and pour everything he's got in here. All I have to do is not let it change hands for 6 more minutes. Come on, guys. I think I've got it. I think I've got a victory at Shiloh. Yes. 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 Outnumbered by 20,000 men. And I managed to pull off the victory at Shiloh. And I did it with only 11,000 casualties. And most of them, I'm guessing, were his men, not mine. So I should actually have a larger army after this. So good news. Good news all around. Boy, the guns, obviously an issue. But let's see where things stand now. And this is going to be interesting. Alright, so first of all, I would note that in my last playthrough where I played for the draw, because of his reinforcements on day 2, he ended up with about 76,000 men. I actually lost more men in that draw than I did in this victory. I lost 12,000. So now, here's where it really gets interesting. His full army, 44 to 49,000 men. Last time, after Shiloh, it was 63 to 68,000. So a difference of 19,000 men. I got to think that's going to be huge moving forward because with the scaling, hopefully that takes away the ability to scale for him moving forward. So I'm really curious to see what some of these battles are going to look like when we get into them because he's not going to be able to scale up, I don't think. But again, we'll see because he had more men at Shiloh than he had in his army. So I don't know how that's all going to be affected with that. But yes, by golly, these 2 points are going into recon. I need to see what's going on. I hate not knowing how many men he has in a battle. So there you have it. Victory at Shiloh. Thanks, guys, for following me with this kind of reboot of this legendary campaign. And I'm just giving you some of the highlights, but I think it's working out really well so far. We'll see you again with the next series of battles. I'll probably do this in chunks where I just do a video that leads up to each one of the grand battles. So we'll see how that works out. But as always, thanks for watching. We will see you again next time with part 3 of this reboot.